Look, I'm not here to repeat the same headlines you've been hearing for the last 80 days. Something fundamental changed in the Nancy Guthrie investigation within the last few hours, and if you haven't seen the leak coming out of the Catalina Foothills neighborhood, you are missing the most terrifying update in this entire case. While everyone was focused on old ransom notes and Bitcoin wallets, a private security firm just released a snippet of Ring camera footage from May 4th that changes everything. It's not just a person in a mask anymore. We're looking at a gray Ford F-150 that was sitting idling just blocks away from Nancy's front door at exactly 1:47 a.m., the precise moment her doorbell camera was manually disabled. But that's not even the most disturbing part. Information is trickling out from the Valley Freeway about a burned-out vehicle discovery that has the FBI in a total frenzy. They aren't calling this a standard search anymore. They are looking at forensic evidence that suggests Nancy didn't just go quietly. There are signs of a violent struggle on that pavement, and for the first time, investigators are tracking a DNA profile that doesn't belong to any known suspect. If you think this is still a waiting game for a ransom, you need to listen very carefully to what the pacemaker data just revealed about her final moments in that house. To understand the urgency of what's happening right now, we have to look at the pavement outside Nancy's home. For weeks, the narrative was that she was simply taken, whisked away in the dead of night. But the forensic leak that hit the wire this morning tells a much more violent story. Investigators have discovered high-velocity blood droplets near the edge of the driveway that were previously overlooked. This wasn't a clean abduction. The positioning of these traces suggests that Nancy Guthrie, at 84 years old, fought back with everything she had. She was on the ground, she tried to stand, and she was forced into a vehicle. But here is the detail that has the FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit pulling their hair out: the DNA. Forensic teams have finally processed a mixed profile from a hair sample found near the struggle site. This isn't Nancy's, and it doesn't match a single person in the Guthrie family tree. The FBI has officially classified this as foreign and violent DNA. It belongs to a predator who was in her immediate physical space, someone who likely has a history of entitlement and aggression. While that DNA is being run through every national database, the focus has shifted to the gray truck mystery. Local neighbors in the Tucson area have been quietly handing over private security footage, and one specific clip from early this morning has gone viral in investigative circles. It shows a gray Ford F-150 with darkened plates cruising the perimeter of the neighborhood at 1:47 a.m., the exact second Nancy's surveillance was cut. This wasn't a random passerby. This truck was staged. It was waiting. And this leads us to the most chilling discovery of the last 48 hours. On the Valley Freeway, authorities discovered the charred remains of a vehicle. It was burned so badly the VIN was nearly unreadable, but inside they found evidence that has caused an immediate lockdown of the scene. A woman has already been taken into custody in connection with that burned car, and the word behind the scenes is that the FBI is trying to determine if she was the scout for the two-man team that actually carried out the hit. We are no longer looking for a lone wolf. We are looking for a coordinated cell that knew exactly how to bypass every security measure Nancy had. Now, if you think the gray truck is the only thing the FBI is losing sleep over, look at what happened on the Valley Freeway. This is where the case stops being a local search and turns into a high-stakes forensic puzzle. Just a few days ago, authorities swarmed a scene where a car had been completely torched, burned so hot that the metal was warping. But inside that charred shell, they didn't just find debris. They found remains. While the media was waiting for an official ID, the police made a move that nobody saw coming. They arrested a woman in connection to that burned vehicle. This is the burned car body update that is sending shockwaves through Arizona. This woman isn't being called the mastermind, but investigators are grilling her on one specific thing. Did she act as the scout for the gray truck? Because the timing of that car fire matches the window when Nancy's digital trail went cold. But let's get into the part that makes your skin crawl: the blood evidence. A NIA leak from an ex-FBI expert has confirmed that Nancy Guthrie didn't just vanish into the night, she fought for her life. There are blood spots on that pavement, specifically high-velocity traces, that prove a violent struggle occurred right outside her front door. She was on the ground, zamin par giri hui thi, and she tried to get back up. That is where they found the third-party DNA. This DNA is a mixed profile, meaning it's a forensic nightmare, but it's the only physical link we have to the abductor. It's a foreign and violent sample that doesn't match a single person in the Guthrie family or their inner circle. It belongs to someone who was close enough to Nancy to bleed with her, yet far enough away to remain a ghost in the system for 80 days. The FBI is now using genetic genealogy to hunt this person down, and the net is finally starting to close on someone who thought they were unafraid. But here is where the technical mask finally slips, and we see the chilling precision behind this abduction. While everyone was looking at doorbell cameras, the FBI was busy pulling a different kind of data, the digital heartbeat of the house itself. You see, Nancy Guthrie had a bedside pacemaker monitor, a device designed to transmit her cardiac health data to her doctors on a strict schedule. The final transmission was supposed to happen at 2:28 a.m. It never did. Think about that timeline. At 1:47 a.m., the camera is cut by a masked man. By 2:28 a.m., just 41 minutes later, Nancy and her medical monitor were already outside the range of that house. This wasn't a random snatch and grab. This was a timed tactical extraction. The abductor knew exactly how much time they had before a digital red flag would go up. And this is where the single offender myth falls apart. Retired FBI agent Steve Moore has officially stated that statistically, it is almost impossible for one person to have executed this. To disable high-end security, manage an 84-year-old woman who we now know fought back, and clear the property in under 40 minutes. That requires a driver and a handler. We are looking at a coordinated cell, a two-man team that was so unafraid they didn't even care about the $1.2 million combined reward that has been sitting on the table since February. When kidnappers ignore $1 million, it's because they have a goal that money can't buy. They didn't want the Bitcoin, they wanted the silence that followed that 2:28 a.m. heartbeat failure. But here is the twist that makes this case personal in a way the FBI is only now starting to admit. For 3 months, we've been asking why Nancy. She's 84 years old, lives a quiet life, and doesn't have enemies. But retired FBI profilers Jim Clemente and Jim Fitzgerald just released a profile that shifts the entire target. They believe Nancy wasn't the goal, she was the surrogate. This is what they're calling the Savannah Stalker Theory. The theory is as dark as it gets. Investigators are now reviewing 5 years of Savannah Guthrie's emails, DMs, and fan mail, looking for a specific type of predator, someone who couldn't get close to the Today Show host in New York and decided to strike where she was most vulnerable. The profile suggests we are looking for someone obsessed with Savannah, someone who viewed Nancy as the ultimate leverage or the ultimate way to inflict pain on a public figure. This isn't a kidnapping for money, it's a kidnapping for retribution. This explains why the $1 million reward has been met with absolute silence. A stalker doesn't want your money, they want your attention. They want to see the family crumble on national television. It's a sick psychological game where the abductor feels they are finally in control of Savannah's life. And as we hit the 3-month mark, the clock is ticking on the forensic side. The FBI is currently cross-referencing that foreign DNA from the driveway with every known stalker or obsessed individual who has ever been flagged by NBC's security teams. They are looking for the person who knew Nancy's schedule, knew about the gray truck, and knew exactly when to cut the cameras. The hunt has moved from the desert of Tucson to the digital archives of Savannah's public life. The answer isn't in a ransom note. It's likely buried in a message Savannah received years ago that everyone thought was just another harmless fan.